loaded bases. I have the author of one of my favorite books, Baseball Gods Are Real, Jonathan Fink. How's it going?
Everything's great, Mason. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So you introduced this book. You quoted a line out of Bull Durham and says, for instance, there are 108 beads on a Catholic rosary. There are 108 stitches on a baseball. When I learned that, I gave Jesus a chance, but it didn't work out between us. So right then, right when I read that, I was hooked, because there is a line between religion and baseball.
Yes. And by the way, on the rosemary beads and on the mala beads that yogis used to pray, there's 108 beads. So as I looked at the numerology, the number 108 even further, I was taken aback and really very impressed. The work of the baseball gods, they know what they're doing for sure.
Oh, it digs deep. So, okay. So tell me, what gave you the whole idea and inspiration behind the baseball gods?
Yeah, I've always loved to write. In college, I was writing music reviews for the Tulane Hullabaloo in college, going to concerts and reviewing albums. So I've always loved to write. When I was going through my midlife crisis, I thought, one day maybe I'll write a book and summarize what I went through. And I even had an idea of the book it was called The Mountain of Me. But then the baseball gods became part of my life, and they started taking over writing my books. In fact, I think that all my books in a way are helped through writing with spirit. But what actually got me to decide to actually physically write a book and make this a second career was author Kathy Bird. Kathy Bird wrote a book called The Boy Who Knew Too Much about her son, Christian Hop. And the thesis of her book is she discovered that he might be the reincarnation of Lou Gehrig. And that's such a mind-boggling proposition. And the book blew me away and it moved me. And I said to myself, I hope she's telling the truth, because all my stories are truthful. And I wound up going to LA, and I got a chance to meet her and meet her son and watch him play baseball. And at 8 years old, Christian Hawk was the best athlete at that age that I've ever seen. And we've stayed friends. And so as our friendship has matured, I've watched him, last year as an 11-year-old, he threw 2 no-hitters, and he was invited to the U11 select 30 teams, one of the best 30 11-year-olds in the country. And so having met them and realizing that their story was true, or at least I believe it's true, and knowing how personal and maybe potentially embarrassing these stories were, I wasn't sure I wanted to share my life story like that, having my life be an open book. But when her book came out and it really moved me, and then I met them, that's when I realized, I have a mission and I need to share my stories too. And maybe when I opened my mind to that possibility, maybe the baseball gods started to flow through me more, because I've been writing books ever since. I've now written 6 books in 4 years. So this stuff
that's a lot of writing quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's 3 volumes to the Baseball Gods Are Real.
Yeah, so Baseball Gods volume 1 and 2 came out last year. Volume 3 is done, but as I mentioned in our pre-interview, I had to edit a few things.
Yes.
The Astros scandal happened, and also Tyler Skaggs passed away.
Yes.
And the baseball god moments that happened around Tyler Skaggs was unbelievable. I can list a litany of different coincidences that happened. But look, when Mike Trout hit a home run, 454 feet.
Oh yeah, there's
his number, Skaggs' number forward and backwards. There's so many things happen that give you goosebumps. And so volume 3 is still in editing. And to be honest, it's a very hard book to edit, because I reference so many statistics and dates and legendary players that my editors have to, search and fact check.
Go back and fact check everything and make sure it's all.
So actually, I'll be releasing my next book, Music Gods Volume 1, The Road to the Show, comes out this week on June 4th. And the next book will actually be Volume 2 from Music Gods. And then the next book after that will be the Volume 3, The Baseball Gods Are Real, the religion of baseball. And in many ways, that was the book that when I first met John Perrin, the pitcher, and then met Kathy Bird, I thought I would maybe incorporate my life into a book about the religion of baseball. And then the first book really became more about just my life, where you'll see that Volume 3 really has nothing to do with me at all. It's a true, baseball book written for me as an author, being a very objective person, looking at, history. And a lot of my material for that book is from the last few years, just me being a baseball fan, observing and collecting articles.
Oh, yes.
And so, for example, even though I have a chapter about freak injuries, I'm only referencing injuries that have been freak in the last few years. So the book is very relevant, but it's still hard, hails back to the old times when freak injuries and all the different, stories of Babe Ruth and legends and baseball gods. And it all kind of comes full circle. So yeah, so Kathy Bird was definitely the inspiration, and we're still friends. And she continues to inspire me because now she's looking to write other books, and she just penned her first screenplay, and I'm doing the same
That's
thing.
awesome.
Actually, because of her, I'm going to write a movie script called The Baseball Gods Are Real. We'll see what happens.
Oh, that will be awesome.
Yeah, John Parent will play himself, I hope.
Oh, he will. Question on that one. Is that him on the cover?
Yes, that is.
That's what I thought. That is what I thought.
He played in fall ball in Arizona in 2017, and they wore uniforms that were unique to that team, but they wore the badge. And so that picture was great because if you notice the gloves in front of his face, so you can't tell who he is. So it could be an anonymous, it could be anybody. But if you read the book, and for me, I know who it is. So it's kind of paying homage to him personally. But the idea is that the road to the show and this journey that I'm on, and that all baseball players go on, it's we all have our own road to the show.
Yes.
This book features John Parent and my road to the show, but as you'll see in my follow-up books, I start writing about other people's road to the shows, and so it goes.
Oh yeah, every player that makes it has their own unique story. There was a interview I listened to a few weeks ago, and it was on the Starting Nine podcast, and Amir Garrett was the guest, and he wanted to play professional basketball. He did not want to play baseball, and so he was drafted, and he thought that once you're drafted, you go straight to the big leagues. And then he showed up to spring training, and he had no idea who anyone was or anything. And he said that there's no one that grinds like baseball players do. And it's such an amazing journey.
Yep. And now he's an MLB The Show with an 87 rating in Diamond Dynasty, and he's a wicked left-hander with a good fastball.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he actually, because in high school he could throw really hard, and he didn't see that as being a big talent because he wanted to play basketball. But something happened that his I think it was his something with his school did not go through for college basketball, and he already was drafted. So the baseball god spoke.
That's right.
You are playing baseball. You have a gift.
Right, and the baseball gods felt more strongly than the basketball gods did. And by the way, in my book coming out next week, I read about the Bruce Springsteen road to the show. And in high school, he was a baseball player.
Yep.
And I write about his moment when the music gods took over. He basically was playing Friday night concerts, and he would play baseball, in the mornings, whatever. And there was a rain out, so there was a game the morning after he was hungover from playing a show, and he was in right field. He was praying to the baseball gods that no balls would come his way. On the ninth, with a runner on third, a towering ball comes his way, and he botched the play, and they lost the game. And that was the last baseball game he ever played. And then from there on, he got into music big time, and his road to the show turned out pretty good.
Oh yeah.
But the music gods, the idea is that when I think of God or spirit, if our past loved ones before they come back to earth and reincarnate, if they're our guardian angels looking after us, that's who. And if that's who the baseball gods are, it's whoever you want to think of them.
Yes.
But when I know if I died and I'm an angel, my interest back in this life was in baseball, so I'd probably spend more time looking around, hanging out at baseball fields than something else. But if I also like music, then when I go watch some Fish concert as an angel, and I see some something going on, I want to intervene and help somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm the music gods, right? So it's all spirit to me.
Yes,
but the idea is that when you tap into it, magical things happen. And I personally have just found that baseball has been the vehicle where I've seen and experienced these magical synchronicities. But I also I'm passionate about music, and as you'll know from my book series, it happens too. So the key is, it's really whatever you're passionate about, that's going to open your heart and your mind and the energy flow, and that will create abundance in whatever that passion is. And if it's baseball, it's music, it could be accounting. There's accounting gods too, believe me.
Oh, yeah.
Although they're probably not as cool as the music gods, let's be honest.
I need to pray to them because I'm just getting into accounting at work.
Yes.
And I need to pray a little harder to the accounting gods.
Yeah, we got to teach people how to balance checkbooks in school. There's lots of important financial things, but
Yes, I'm taking a accounting class too right now.
Good for you.
It's fun.
Right on.
So So, okay, what has been the most recent baseball god story in your life?
Wow. Well,
Actually, what jersey are you wearing?
right
And
now.
why?
Yeah, so this is interesting.
Let's do
If
that.
you're into the idea of manifesting, the idea that you
Yes.
can help shape your reality with your thoughts and your actions and your words, that whatever you're thinking about, that's what you're going to create most of. And so in the house, when I was for many years, I used to collect soccer jerseys actually when I would travel
Mhm.
around and whatever. So for the last many years, I've been collecting baseball jerseys, and I try to find jerseys that are meaningful to me, and then I'll wear them in the house. Usually, also when I'm not even when I'm writing, all the time.
Yep.
And whatever I'm feeling, that's the jersey for the day. And so for this one, I thought it's very interesting and apropos. I wore my 2017 World Series Houston Astros Jose Altuve jersey, which shows that I can maintain a sense of humor, as do the baseball guys.
Yes.
But the reason why I wore this jersey is because this has a lot of baseball god symbolism, because my son and I were at Game 7 of the 2017 World Series when the Astros won, by the way, on the road in LA. So, yeah, they were banging their
Yep.
garbage cans to win those home games. So let's be fair, so shout out to the Astro fans. They did win Game 7 on the road, even when
Yep.
they brought in Kershaw in the late innings. But so,
Yep.
so my son and I, in my first book, I have a chapter called The World Series Experiment, where basically during a meditation, the baseball gods told me to be a Game 7. I knew how it happened, all the wins and losses, and to prove that it was real, I bought tickets a week ahead of time, and sure enough, it was a Game 7. Nate and I were there. But at the time, I didn't appreciate the symbolism of this jersey. I just thought it was a World Series jersey.
Yep.
So here we are a couple of years later. The Astros have been a great team in 17, 18, and 19. And in 2019, my son is obviously a huge baseball fan, more and more each day. Right now, it used to be Derek Jeter, but as his favorite player. But Alex Bregman, third baseman of the Astros, became his favorite player. In fact, when was bar mitzvah last year, we all wore jerseys. I wore a Jackie Robinson jersey.
Baseball bar
Astros,
mitzvah.
Yeah,
I love it.
He wore Alex Bregman. So he has we have aunt and uncles who have really good royal seats, and they said, "What do you want for your birthday?" So months in advance, Nate knew I want to ask for those Astro tickets. And so in September, at the very end of the year, the Astros were in town, and we brought a signed copy of my book for Alex Bregman, because my son Nate has learned to manifest. He'll say, "We're gonna be Alex Bregman for sure, and we're gonna give him your book." And I don't want to be like, "Oh yeah, that'll probably never happen." You have to believe. You have to believe him. So I right along with him, like, "Yeah, we'll make it happen." And so sure enough, it happened. And as Nate's talking to Bregman about bar mitzvahs together, because they're both Jewish, and Nate's giving him the book. I'm taking some pictures, and I spoke with Alex for a minute. And then I thought about when the Astro scandal broke, I thought about that day, because I literally handed Alex Bregman, my son handed him the book that said, as he's looking at it, "The baseball gods are real." He then brings that book into his dugout, into his clubhouse, where all these players have been cheating for at least 2 years with buzzers, with the banging. Who knows how they've been doing it. And so the idea was that, baseball guys are always watching. They'll let cheaters cheat, but karma is real, and baseball karma is definitely real. And so the baseball guys were planting a seed in that clubhouse. I mean, look, that book could have went up in the trash can. I don't know how many people read that book in that clubhouse, but it was a warning. It was an omen for those fellas that you've been shooting for 2 or 3 years in a row. The baseball guys now know it, and you will soon pay the price. And it's so interesting that not only did they pay the price, I think we all have paid the price, because the pandemic happened, and then baseball was absolutely canceled for the whole season.
Yes.
So this gives me goosebumps. And so look, the baseball gods are definitely real. Let's get into that. It's amazing. So so I thought this one was a funny jersey, but it is an amazing story, because it shows that karma is real, and God. Let's use that. I'll use that term. I don't mind using that word. God will use people and move them around like chess pieces to do His work. And the baseball gods need to let the Astros know that what you've been doing is wrong, and this is your warning to stop it, but the punishment will be forthcoming. And sure enough, here we are.
I think you are the only person to get away with wearing a Houston Astros jersey.
Yeah.
Because deep down,
I know.
You and your son were the ones too.
You were the messengers.
Hey, you were sent.
Now to digress, I do appreciate that what they've done in baseball with this cheating scandal is an abomination. But to be fair to them, this is my good friend Andrew Oshman out there, is a diehard Astros fan. Look, baseball players have been cheating forever.
Yeah.
Even Hank Greenberg in 1930s, the Detroit Tigers had binoculars on the outfield scoreboard looking to steal signs. Mm-hmm. So there's always been cheating. It's just a matter of what's in an ethical morality perspective that's deemed okay. Yes. And when you're cheating above and beyond just stealing signs, from the first base coach taking a look, third base coach taking a look, when you start using technology, it just starts ruining the integrity of the game. And we can go into steroids and all that stuff, but this has just been around forever. And so maybe it's a reflection of our, in volume 3 of Baseball Gods, I write about how American society and baseball mirror each other, whether it's through racism or labor union relations. There's so many different things that happen. And in many ways, this cheating scandal is any different than the Wall Street traders rigging markets, and rigging markets on Wall Street. So it's just a reflection of our society that there's this desire to compete and to win at all costs. And some can do it honorably and some feel the need to cheat. And I guess what I would just always say is that karma has a very long memory. Yes. And so, if not in this lifetime, in the next one, for sure, the baseball gods will always find equilibrium in the universe.
Oh, they will get you. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. The baseball gods will get you.
Yeah. I mean, they're loving, but they want to discipline when needed,
And it was much needed for the Astros right now.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, especially after their run this year. I guess this past year, since it's kind of sad baseball's not here, but much needed.
Yeah.
So you've written 6 books.
Yep.
6 books now, and they are all the same format, virtually.
Yes.
So
by design.
Yes. So you started writing these books, and so what made you start, I guess, the whole process?
Well, yeah. So I'll be fair. I mean, I had a liberal arts degree at Tulane University, which gives you a really broad education, but it doesn't help you in the business world, being really good at liberal arts. So when I moved to Kansas City, I got an MBA at University of Missouri in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And even though I studied many different topics at business school, I did take a lot of marketing classes. And so learning how to run a business was something that I've always wanted to do. I got my first chance to do it when I started my own investment firm, and marketing and doing the branding and all that stuff I did in-house. I didn't want to outsource it. I couldn't afford to do it really, but I like to do it. I enjoy marketing. And so when I started this Polo Grounds publishing company, it was another way to me to use my creativity to build something, but also to use my marketing skills. And I love that. And so I was very conscious of how I would, name the books and having the music be a different series than the baseball book, but yet using the same imagery and all the covers. So it feels like a continuous series in itself. So when it's done, there might be 3 baseball books and 3 music books and 3 investment books, but it'll read like 1 through 9. It'll feel like one continuous thing. And so I might one day change the book covering and maybe how I lay out the actual book. But for the first 4, I wanted them to be identical because I wanted to show that there is a relation between my first music book and my first 2 baseball books. They thematically are a continuation of my life story. And so the ability to understand marketing was important, and really to be, not that everyone should, everyone should explore education as they need to, but when it comes to marketing, it's actually very simple. It's called the 4 Ps, right? Product, price, place, and promotion. So I knew I was selling a book. As far as pricing, I was able to go on to competitive, other authors and see what they price. I didn't have much of a budget. So when it comes to promotion, most of it's self-promotion. It's using social media. It's linking my book. It's getting interviews like this on podcasts, but it's all organic word of mouth, kind of like how a jam band starts their career, where I don't have a publicist. I don't have a big branding marketing team, but I do have enough of the innate ability to say, you know what, I want my Polo Grounds logo to look like this. I want my cover to look like this. I had to find a book cover designer who can make this image come to life. I always knew that I wanted John Perrin on the cover of that book, right? I knew that the road to the show books needed to have a road going through it. And so I had to find a sunflower field with a road. And so I, a lot of times will be on, websites myself, the Pixels and all the different, imaging websites to find these pictures because I wanted to use that style in how I designed the books. So in many ways, I feel like this was what I was born to do, that getting that business degree put me in a position that I could one day leave Morgan Stanley and start my own firm, frankly, when I left, from my first book, when I left Morgan Stanley, I lost a lot of my clients. And it's amazing how one day you'll be grateful for your suffering, because if I still had so many clients, I wouldn't have the time to be writing books. So it's a perfect balance now. And so I still run Satya. I'm still very busy doing that. But I also have the time now to run Polo Grounds, the business of it. I do my own accounting. I mean, I do the accounting for Satya. I mean, I have an accountant that I hand it over to after the double check it all. But I had that stuff I all learned in business school. And I mean, I didn't learn any of that stuff in liberal arts at Tulane, but all my friends who were in the B school did, but I was a liberal arts guy. And so business school, I have to, is really important for people who want to be in the business world. And if we're entering a world where, we're going to have more entrepreneurs working at home, less corporations. And, I think that having business savvy is important, but even more important than business savvy is having passion, because if you're passionate about something, you will find the people and the resources needed to make these dreams come true, because people are going to feel your vibration and they're going to want to be around that and they'll want to help you build it. But yeah, so with this book project though, in many ways, my whole life path led me to this. And and by the way, I thought about getting an agent and getting a publisher and getting a traditional book deal. And I thought, you know what? It might be very difficult when I can do it myself and do it my own way and not to optimize anything. And you know what? The author of The Wax Pack, which is one of the best-selling books right now, he was rejected 38 times over 6 years before some publisher finally said yes.
Oh, wow.
Now, on the one hand, I respect him so much for his perseverance and determination, but also shows this business is really hard. And yet we live in a world now with technology, the same way you just created your own podcast, you bought your own mic, you bought your own recording studio. I create my own publishing company, and I'll be soon doing, audio books the same way. And it's just one of these things where if you're passionate, the doors will open, the ideas will come to you. And in many ways, that's when I get ideas on my jogs or in meditation. I always joke it's the music gods or the baseball gods, but when you're in touch with spirit and you're in meditation, you're in that aligned balance. These thoughts, you can say that they're your own. But when Elon Musk had the idea for how to build a rocket, it's going to go to the moon, where do those ideas really come from? Nikola Tesla said he got ideas from aliens. I think it comes from spirit. I think you start to channel whatever you're meant to produce. When you tap into that alignment, then it will come out of you. And I was meant to write books about baseball and music and to invest people's money to help their kids, buy houses and go to college. But it's been amazing how your life path will change. And if I still had over 100 clients at Morgan Stanley, this side career never would have happened. And I can't tell you how much joy it brings me to write these books, to create them, but also when you get the feedback. I mean, let's talk briefly about how we met. I mean, that's one of my favorite stories ever. Why don't you share that story real quick?
Yeah. So I actually Googled books about baseball and religion.
Yep.
And I found the baseball gods are real. And then I said that to myself and I said, well, hell yeah, they are. So I purchased the book and I read it within days. It was fast. So then I posted a picture of the book on Instagram and I saw you shared it on your story.
Yeah,
I was like, this is awesome. I'm going to send him a message and then tell him like my in-depth stories about the baseball gods.
That's
and
right.
I thought it was really awesome how you connect with the people that reach out to you. And that's a big reason why I truly believe that, I mean, you're an amazing author and what you do is purposeful and you do it with an amazing passion.
So real quick, Dayton Moore, general manager of the Royals, is our neighbor, and he gave Nate 3 books to read a few months ago. And one of them that I've read called The Butterfly Effect. Mm-hmm. The idea of the butterfly effect is that, when a butterfly ripples his wings, what comes after that, all the different, things that follow from that. And the idea that, when you make a difference by making holding a door for a stranger or giving a bum a dime, or a dollar or $10, when you're doing good things, you don't know how that is affecting other people. Mm-hmm. And so as an author, like my second book hasn't sold that many copies. And I would have loved it to be a huge success, but not every album of Bruce Springsteen is going to be a huge hit. But when you write a book, I kind of always felt like if one person reads my book and it touches their heart and stimulates their mind and motivates them to change their life in a better way, then I've done, then this has been a successful mission as an author. And so when you reached out to me, that's probably one of the first people who really reached out to me, hey, look, I loved your book and it really touched me. And then you feel so good from that. The energy flows, and that inspires you to write more books because you want to feel good helping other people. And that's one of the magical things about universe is that when you put out good, you get back good. And so I always felt like, I don't know who's going to read these books. Maybe it's just my friends and family, and that would be okay too, right? Maybe I only sell a dozen or so books, but what if I became a best-selling author where, people are really reading these books, and it really, every book, Joe Bonzel, who is a tenor singer for the Oak Ridge Boys, the Oak Ridge Boys diehard baseball fans. Earlier in life, they were all baseball players. So when we connected through Twitter, and I eventually interviewed Joe in my Music Gods Volume 2 book. But he was talking about the way the universe works, and just it's all in God's divine plan, and I also trying to thought a little bit on that, but the idea is that this is it's a beautiful thing what I'm experiencing, and everyone can experience it too when you follow your passions. And the same way that when Joe and I, here's my thought, Joe's written 10 books besides being in the Country Hall of Fame and all that, and every book he wrote, his goal was to have meaning and purpose in his books. About World War II, or about being, writing children's books, or his life on the road with the Oak Ridge Boys. And I already had penned a few books since then, and I definitely had a purpose with all my books. But meeting him and talking to him, it inspired me even more. And since then, I've written both my religion books. And there was absolute purpose in that. I want to live in a world where there's peace and love. I don't want to live in a world where everyone hates each other. I want to live in a golden age, an age of Aquarius. And I think in order for that to happen, everyone has to do their part. And so I was thinking about how these books are my way to make it's sort of like my deposit, my contribution to the universe. This is my way of trying to make the world a better place. And I hope I'm doing it in a way that I'm also, opening people's hearts and minds, but also entertaining them at the same time, because the books were not entertaining, they wouldn't read them, which is many ways why I think it's interesting how Spirit had me choose books about baseball and music. It's almost like a Trojan horse. If people knew my books were about God or religion or spirituality or law of attraction or manifesting, they might not be into that stuff. It just sounds like woo-woo, whatever. But because I wrap these themes around baseball or music, and I'll soon do it with investing as well, if I'm infusing these stories with spirit, then that's going to be the end result. And when people like you read my books and are touched, now here you are, you've just launched your own podcast, you're more inspired since reading my book, and that inspires me even more. It's a wonderful, collaborative thing. We're all part of this collective consciousness, and we feed off of each other. And so it's my thrill. When you reached out to me, I was thrilled to reach out to you. And by the way, it goes both ways. My Music Gods book series, that started because I reached out to the band Twiddle from Vermont. And I basically wanted to go to Montana. I don't want to spoil the book too much, but I needed an excuse to go to Montana to visit a past life and try to confirm it. And Twiddle's tour came out, and they were coming through Kansas City and then playing 2 shows in Montana. And I said, I got to go to Montana, And so sure enough, I mailed them a bunch of books, and I asked, hey, can I one day interview guys for my book series, which had not been even started yet, in Montana? And they said yes, because the worst they could have said was no. But if I never asked, they never would have been able to respond. And so one of the things that are important in these books is that, yes, law of attraction is important, and believing in spirit's important, but just having a tenacious attitude, having passion, going out to get what you want in life, and opening doors that may be closed, but sometimes you have to knock on the door and open it. And when I first emailed Twiddle's manager, Kevin Rondo, I first found him on LinkedIn, and he didn't respond back. So then I tried to find him on Facebook, right? I wasn't going to give up. I was going to keep going. And so you'll find the same thing when you're trying to get interviews for your podcast. If the first time you get a no, and you just accept that, or you get voicemail, if you don't call back, you never get that interview. You have to put yourself out there. And that means being vulnerable. That means sometimes getting rejected. And that means you have to have a thick skin sometimes, or to learn to have a thick skin, so that when rejection comes, it's a stepping stone, not an obstacle. And that's true when I was in college, emailing, or back then writing letters to record companies to get an internship, right? I mean, this has been true my whole life. You got to take the initiative. When I was trying to run for school class president in high school, I had to hustle and put up signs every day and hand out pamphlets and do all that crap. Because if you don't make the effort, it's just not going to come. You can manifest and pray all you want, but the baseball gods require you to do the work, right? At the end of the day, you have to do the work to achieve your goals and dreams. And so my dream was to be an investor and start my own firm, and then I wanted to be an author. And as that's now, coming to fruition, I'm very, very grateful. And I think that's another point, which is gratitude. Because when you stay in a state of gratitude, universe continues to praise you and to help you along the way. And so I stay grateful. And the key is, if I didn't say yes to your interview, that's like when like Twiddle saying no to me.
Yeah.
So you have to keep it going. You know, what goes around comes around in this life. And maybe that, and interesting, in my Religion of Baseball book, I talk about karma. But I said, look, karma is a concept that we all understand, but you don't have to be a Hindu or a Buddhist to appreciate karma, because if you're a Christian, just think of the term, what goes around comes around. That is karma. And most Christians believe in that. So we all believe in the same things, except different names and labels for them.
Yeah. It's just all worded different.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's all, what was it? Because I grew up, I went to a Catholic school growing up, but then it was forced upon. So therefore was pushed away. Yeah. And then I had to find something to believe in. And it's always been, there is a higher power. Someone is out there, or something is out there, but there is a higher power. Karma's real.
Amen.
And you just have to believe in what you believe, and believe to the absolute fullest.
Yeah, and it's a challenge, because when you're in a rut, like, look, 40 million people just lost their jobs in 2 months. The rug just got pulled out from so many people. It's just crazy. I mean, every walk of life has been affected. But it's all about, okay, these are your new circumstances, so then how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
It's very natural to want to feel depressed or scared. These are all natural feelings. But if you're having those feelings, well, then that signal's being sent to the universe. So it's very hard to convince yourself to be happy and optimistic when your life kind of sucks. And when I went through a midlife crisis, it took some time learning that negative thoughts gave me more negative reality. I would remember there would be days I would, at the end of the day, I'd lose a client, and then I would come home and I'd sit in the driveway and I would just be weeping, and I'd say to myself, I'll probably lose 2 clients tomorrow. And would you know it? Absolutely. The next day I lost 2 clients. And that's
if you believe it, it'll happen.
It's almost like my thoughts are manifesting in real time. So then I said, what if I say I'm not going to lose a client tomorrow? What some great's going to happen tomorrow? What if I'm going to have a new relationship open up tomorrow? Don't be surprised if that's what starts to manifest. But by the way, just because you have a one good day of positive thinking or one good day of meditation, it doesn't work like that. You got to really do the work. I mean, for me, I didn't start noticing the baseball gods or spirit becoming an active part of my life several years into my spiritual path, frankly. I mean, the first couple of years I was still on the downslope, still going through my suffering and feeling sorry for myself. And when you're feeling sorry for yourself, there's no help from the gods. It wasn't until I started exercising and doing yoga and meditating and watching self-help videos and, you know, all that stuff, listen to Wayne Dyer and, Tony Robbins. I went through that phase. And I'm telling you, those people are in this universe for a reason. They helped me. And so, every stage of this process, has to play its course. But those people like Wayne Dyer, and Abraham Hicks, they talk about your thoughts create your reality and how amazing it is true. But again, you have to do the work, and it ain't just one thought, right?
Yeah.
It's time for these thoughts to accumulate and build abundance for them to actually manifest in your reality. But the better you get at manifesting, the quicker these realities will happen.
Yeah.
So be careful what you wish for, because it can happen.
Got to stay positive. Always stay positive. So, do you have any final thoughts? Do you have any advice to the listeners?
Well, in many ways, I feel like we've touched on a lot of those things.
Oh, yeah.
My advice would be is that there's, at any stage in life, you can change your life path. The road to the show is a metaphor for this journey. When do you ever reach the destination? Because if you had a goal, you set it, and then you reach it, then you set a new goal. Yep. So in many ways, if we're always looking forward, we don't ever appreciate the now. And living in the now is so important. And that's when living in the now is when you get to that point of stillness, and that's when you can get into that meditative state. And that's when that spirit can flow through you, and then you can be a creator and manifest. And again, it doesn't matter if you're an accountant, you'll be a better accountant if you have spirit flowing through you, or a better baseball player, whatever it is. But my feeling is that wherever you are in your life, find out the truth about karma and law of attraction. These concepts have been around forever, and I was unaware of them my entire life. And once I became aware of them, you had that, the Akiya moment, aha, and then you start to learn to use these tools. And so right now we're going through a very tough time in humanity. We have riots going on and cops, killing people, and it's really heartbreaking. But in many ways, I kind of feel like it's the darkest before the dawn. And the age of Aquarius, the golden age, it's coming. We all have to help collectively co-create it. And right now, look at the world, we're going through the birthing pains of that new age, and it ain't pretty, as is birth. And so hold on tight, guys. We're going to get through this. But try to be optimistic about that light down in the end of that tunnel, because it is there. And remember, when you're in a dark room and you light a candle, the darkness scatters very quickly. And so it shows that light and love are very, very powerful, and way more powerful than fear and anger and all this darkness we're seeing. And so we all have to be the change we want to see in the world. And, the idea of, this is the New Testament times and the end times. Well, if it is, then let's all find Christ consciousness within each of us. When we all live and breathe the embodiment of Jesus. And again, I'm not a Jew for Jesus kind of person, but the fact is, look, he was humble, he was kind, he was generous, he was giving. He had all the qualities that you'd want your children to have when they grew up to be adults, right? So why wouldn't we want to live like that? And so the idea is, if we're waiting for some Jesus to come from the clouds, we might be waiting for a long time. Maybe the Gnostics were right. And it's when we all find what Jesus about John the Baptist, he had Christ consciousness as well. So when we all can tap into this Christ consciousness, that's how we can co-create a new golden age where we can live in peace and harmony, where there's economic equality and there's abundance for everyone. Right now, the world is very tilted where there's the 1% and then everybody else. Yep. And we have to find a way where capitalism can work for everyone. And so I look forward to that day. And all I want to help do is my part, but everyone can do their part. And you do your part by just being a good person. I mean, we don't all have to be out there writing books or saving the world. Just by being a good person and and letting your love light shine, that vibration impacts your family around you, your friends, your coworkers, your teammates, the guys in your band and your crew. So by raising your vibration, by finding the spiritual path, that to me is what this is all about. We're all on this road of the show. And that road of the show is that road to enlightenment, kind of how Buddha eventually got there. We're all trying to become enlightened in a way. And so my advice would be just to follow your passions, do what you love. And if you do what you love, good things will come your way, and you'll find you'll be doing for a living what you love, which is the goal for everyone, is to do what they love. And so I wish that for everyone. I wish everyone, the best of luck, and may the baseball gods be with everybody.
You absolutely knocked that out of the park right there.
Right on.
That is awesome. Well,
it was great to be with you today.
Yeah, Jonathan, thank you so much.
My pleasure. You take care, Mason. Be well.
You too.